This is the Business Lens, where we go beyond the headlines and make sense of the numbers shaping your money, your business, and Nigeria's economy. Good morning. My name is Divine Alex. Stay with me. Let's connect the headlines to your business, your money, and the economy. Now, let's start with something that affects every Nigerian wallet. You know how people keep saying things are still expensive, so why do they keep telling us inflation has fallen? Well, the latest numbers are out again. Nigeria's inflation rate is likely to 15.91% in June from 15.93% in May. This is a tiny drop, but it also means inflation has slowed significantly compared to the 25.29% that we had by this time last year. Now, even month-on-month prices are rising, more slowly, but before we celebrate, you have to note this. Food inflation is still sitting at 17.52%, which explains why many Nigerians still leave the market, wondering where all the money went. So yes, inflation is cooling, but our grocery bills are taking their time to catch up. Now let's step away from that. While households are watching every naira they spend, the government has been counting every naira it earns. June was a very good month for government revenue. Now, the Federal Account Allocation Committee, FAC, shared 2.55 trillion naira among the federal government, states, and local governments after gross federation revenue climbed to 4.5 trillion naira. This is about 33% higher than the previous month. Now, we had statutory revenue contribute 1.81 trillion naira, while the VAT added another 740.7 billion naira. That's a lot of money. Now, this naturally raises one question. If government is earning more money, when should Nigerians begin to feel more value in infrastructure? I'm talking about roads, healthcare, education, and other public services. That is the question we're going to leave out there for them. Now, speaking of putting money to work, government is also investing in people, you and I. Now, if you've ever been told to go learn a skill, it would never leave you, you will continue to go with the knowledge, all those stories. The next story will make you smile. Now, the federal government has approved 3.6 billion naira to support tailors. Oh yes, come closer. I know, right? Now, this support of tailors is under the Industrial Training Fund Scale Up Artisans program. Around 200,000 artisans are expected to benefit from this. But here's what stood out for me particularly. Government says not everybody will simply receive money. Applicants are first being screened to make sure they're genuine artisans ready to grow their businesses. It's another reminder that skills are becoming just as valuable as certificates is. I know you like that. Now, and talking about artisans and small businesses, you remember this particular one. I know that a lot of us also remember the akara, roasted corn, and the kwili conversation that got Nigerians talking a few weeks ago. In fact, it stretched to about 4 days ago. Some people are even still making, tweets and comments and, jokes around it. Well, it's back because the Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has defended those comments, insisting that small businesses remain a practical path to economic independence while encouraging wealthy entertainers and successful Nigerians to support grassroots entrepreneurs. But beyond the social media debate, there's a bigger business story here. Because the informal sector employs more than 80% of working Nigerians and contributes an estimated 50.65% of Nigeria's GDP. Maybe the real question isn't whether someone starts with akara or corn or kwili. Maybe it is whether we are doing enough to help small businesses become big businesses to scale. Anyway, we'll discuss this more on today's episode. Now, while small businesses are thinking about survival, another debate is brewing in Nigeria's energy sector. Now, imagine buying fuel in Nigeria, but the price is being linked to the US dollar. I know we've been having debates and hot conversations around this, and I'm sure it sounds strange. Well, that's exactly the conversation happening after the Dangote refinery introduced dollar-denominated pricing for some wholesale petroleum transactions. Independent marketers and energy experts say the move could increase pressure on the naira and make petrol prices even more volatile, which means it could go up higher than it is already that we're already complaining about. Now, we have others argue that it's simply a commercial decision to manage foreign exchange rates. But the bigger question is, for fuel consumed in Nigeria, especially Nigeria that is supposed to be an oil producing country, should the dollar really determine the price? That question, we need to get answers to that. Now, let's step away from that. And while we're talking about the economy here at home, let's take a quick look at what's happening in the world's biggest economy. Now, on Wall Street, in the United States, investors had something to cheer about. The US inflation slowed to 3.5% in June, which is down from 4.2% that they had in May, helping push stock prices higher and boosting confidence across the financial markets. Now, why does that matter to us? Because what happens in the world's largest economy often influences global investment, interest rates, and capital flows into countries like ours, Nigeria. Now, from that, let's go coming properly into the market. We have to move from the Wall Street and head to our own market, now to the stock market. And after 2 straight days of losses, investors finally had something to smile about. The NGX bounced back on Tuesday, adding a massive 719 billion naira in value as the market snapped its losing streak. The all-share index climbed 0.46% to close at 242,870 points, pushing the total market capitalization to 155.85 trillion naira. The rally was driven by heavyweight stocks. In fact, there were 24 gainers compared to 22 losers, showing that investor confidence is still holding up despite recent market swings. So the question now is, was this just a one-day rebound, or is the market finding its feet again? That is the question that you're going to leave out there. Now, away from that, yesterday the Central Bank of Nigeria returned to the market with another treasury bills auction, offering 600 billion naira to investors. This is all part of its ambitious plan to raise 5.8 trillion naira this quarter, with 2 trillion naira expected from July alone. Now, according to the CBN, the goal is to manage excess liquidity in the economy to support monetary policy and meet government's short-term financing needs. But with the treasury bills offering attractive returns, one question remains. Is more money flowing into government securities or away from businesses that also need capital to grow? I know that a lot of us are really interested about this, but you could go read them up and find out for yourself. Now, still in the market has been spending plenty signals, sending us plenty signals this week. So what exactly is it trying to tell businesses and investors? Can Akara, which is a conversation that has caused a lot of uproar, and other street businesses really build an economy? Will SMEs move from survival to success, or will the street business remain stuck despite the market shifts? Let's find out after the break. My name is Divine Alex. Stick around here. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. This is still the Business Lens of Rapid Television, Abuja. My name is Divine Alex. Now, ever since the First Lady mentioned akara, roasted corn, and kwili kwili, Nigerians have had plenty to say. Some people laughed, some people criticized the comment, and others asked whether that's really the kind of economy Nigeria should be talking about. But I think there's a much bigger business story here. Now, think about the akara seller, the woman roasting corn by the roadside, the tailor, the mechanic, the barber, the POS agent by the roadside, the shoemaker, the vulcanizer, the market trader, and the roadside welder, among other different businesses you find on your way to going to work or church or anywhere. Now, together they make up what economists call Nigeria's informal sector. Here's what that makes this really interesting. Now, according to estimates from the International Labour Organization and other development institutions, more than 80% of employed Nigerians work in the informal economy, and it contributes between 50 and 65% of Nigeria's GDP based on Nigeria's recent GDP size. That's economic activity worth roughly 140 to 185 billion dollars from the estimated 285 billion dollars in 2025. That is massive. Yet many of these businesses remain small, informal, and largely outside the formal financial system. So this morning, let's ask, are we looking down on one of Nigeria's biggest economic assets? And more importantly, how do we help these businesses grow from survival to success? Before we even start looking at these things, let's first of all take a look at what the First Lady said that caused the debate in the first place. Let's take a look.
We're trying to give hope, and to start akara business doesn't take a lot of money. To start roasting corn, or somebody even said about grant, you see they're saying that kuli doesn't take much. We didn't give them a loan. We gave it to them as a grant. So we've encouraged Nigerians as best as we could. What is within our hands, I have given, and I keep giving, and those are the things we've done. I remember giving for TB. When I heard there's so much TB cases, I gave 2 billion. To breast cancer, I gave 1 billion. To food malnutrition, I gave 500 million. So those are the things we've been doing, and making sure we can make sure that whatever this government is trying to do, that it will see the light of the day. So in agric we've done, in social investment we have, in education we've given a little bit of scholarship, ICT training, and with NIDA. So, and all those are things, and we are still open, still want to do more. The narrative has really changed, has changed to challenge the average man, whereas the average man is supposed to have hope. So I like the idea that Mr. President said this is the renewed hope agenda. We have to renew our hope. And that's how we renew our hope, and that's what I have to tell Nigerians.
Thank you. Okay, you heard that. Now, this was one of the videos that caused the uproar, and it started bringing questions, a lot of questions like, can akara actually help the economy? Can people actually do these businesses and they are able to move away from survival to success, to massive, businesses that you could say, oh, this is a food company and this person started from those parts. And a lot of people, we are now trying to match all of these things because of the fact that, oh, they know one akara seller at a particular junction, and 3 years down the line, 5 years sometimes, you see that this person is still there. And you go there, it's looking like there's no much thing that is happening around there. So this caused a lot of debates, conversations, and it was not funny because a lot of Nigerians were not having it. Even yesterday, I decided to take to the streets to, meet some of those corn sellers and the business people who do the akara by the roadside. Although that we were supposed to have one join us, I don't know why it's taking a lot of time. So I think maybe she will still be able to join us. But this is the conversation. Now, one of these corn sellers said, oh, I am able to buy a bag of corn for 19,000 naira. So it ranges from 15 to 19,000 naira according to the different people I had conversations with yesterday. Now, they said, I now also get a bag of pear for 40,000 naira to 50,000 naira. But I am very sure that by the end of the day, the First Lady said, oh, I'm sure at the end of the day that I'm able to have extra 5,000 naira on the days I did not sell well on each of these bags if I'm able to finish them. But one thing she noted was the fact that she's not able to finish selling the full bag of pear in one day. So it takes her 2 days to sell. So which means she sells a full bag of pear for 40,000 naira. The minimum, if she did not make good sales, she's able to get at least 10,000 naira extra in 2 days. Now, I also had another conversation with another person who is also a guy at another different location. This interview was around Piakasa axis of the airport road in Abuja. And he said, oh, I make as much as 100,000 naira because I sell a lot, because he's well positioned according to him. And he now, gave me a breakdown of the charcoal, how much he gets charcoal, how much he gets the corn, which he said he goes to a particular market, Zuba, and he gets it at as low as 15,000 naira to make it easy for him. But if you're able to buy around the Lube axis, you will see that you can only get them around 19,000 naira, depending on the bag. Now, and at the end of the day, he's able to sell as high as 100,000 naira. I know you are shouting. I also shouted yesterday. So you see, sometimes when we look at some of these businesses and then these issues come up, a lot of people are very quick to react because we do not really ask the business questions. How much can we actually make from the informal sector? How much is the informal sector worth? What is the economic value of the informal sector? These are questions I'm going to leave for you to, ask yourself, and then maybe do a little bit of research and find out. But before I even go deeper in giving you more details about this, let's also watch this interview by the founder of the School of Hard Knocks, yes, James Dumoulin. He also interviewed the founder and managing partner of Arewa Capital Management. Now, this woman's name is Adesua Okumbo Rhodes, and she is a billionaire. Now, let's take a listen to what she has to say about the informal sector.
1 to 2 years, what is the best industry people should be looking to get into right now?
I'm a big proponent of the informal economy. It's a $1 trillion opportunity.
Informal economy?
So that is the women in the streets that are selling you your milk, your bread, your Coke, your water. They don't have a formal bank account. They don't have a formal building that they're selling from. But it's a $1 trillion opportunity, and 70% of those people are women. We want to invest in the businesses that are enabling those businesses to grow, providing them with payment infrastructure, providing them with technology, providing them with logistics, providing them with working capital. We see that as a $1 trillion opportunity.
And nobody's talking about it.
Nobody's talking about it. They're too busy thinking about oil, or they're too busy thinking about the obvious opportunities. But I think if you find businesses that are enabling the informal economy.
Okay, she said if you find businesses that enable the informal economy, jump on it. That is your quickest way to being a billionaire. So you see, sometimes we look at these things and we overlook the importance, the value of some of these things, because we get used to seeing these things every day, that we do not attach the value to it. Now, before we wrap up today's edition of Business Lens, let's leave you with our business word of the day. Now, today's word is NGX. I even said it earlier, and I'm sure a lot of you will be wondering what this means. Now, if you've ever heard someone say the NGX gained today, or the NGX closed lower, or the NGX this or that, this is what it simply means. NGX stands for the Nigerian Exchange Group, which is the Nigeria's official stock exchange where investors buy and sell shares in companies like GT Coal, MTN Nigeria, Dangote, Bua Cement, and many other factories and industries, especially when it is like a buying and selling of shares and assets. Now, whenever you hear that the NGX is up, it means the value of many listed companies has increased. And then when you hear that, oh, it's down, it means the market's lost value. Simple as that. And that's your business word of the day. One business word at a time, one smarter investor at a time. Now, let me leave you with this. This conversation around the informal economy is something a lot of us have to go really deep with, doing a lot of research. We should, take away the fact that, oh, is the First Lady right, or is the First Lady wrong? This should not be the conversation. The conversation should be, how can we tap into the benefits of this informal economy? Now, that's our program for today. Thank you so much for watching Business Lens. Keep the conversation going on our social media platforms at Rapid TV Abuja. Oh, we are also worldwide. And remember, understanding business is the first step to making better financial decisions. Thank you so much for being a part of today's conversation. See you again every Mondays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. My name is Divine Alex. Bye for now.